Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have an interesting stranger on every single week. Today we have Brian Anderson, and he has graciously let me into Miller Park. We're doing it live here from Miller Park, which is awesome. So thank you very much for having me. It's gorgeous out here.
It's a beautiful day here, and finally feels like summer in Milwaukee at this taping.
Yeah, because you do play-by-play. That's where people would know you probably most from, at least here in Milwaukee. But you also do national broadcast too. And I wonder sometimes when you are up here, are there ballparks or places where you're so high up that it's almost like you can't see what's happening?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the team we're playing tonight, the Pittsburgh Pirates, here on June 7th, their ballpark is one of the most beautiful ballparks in the big leagues.
It's right on the river, right?
Right on the Allegheny.
Yep.
However, is one of my least favorite ballparks to work in because the booth is so high. So the perspective here would be up above the highest seats of the fans. And so it's the second highest location for a press box in baseball. The highest is Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Home of the Nationals. That's Nationals Park. So I despise working there. Every time you go because it makes you like so nervous to call games there because you just don't see the game the way.
You might miss something, or
you don't know. The ones that are hardest to call from way up there are like those skip line drives in the infield. You don't know if they bounced. You don't know if a guy's caught it.
Yeah.
And it happens once a series. There'll be like a hot little ground ball or a line drive. We had one the last time I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a line drive to the pitcher and he caught it, or if it hit the ground first and he caught it. I had no idea.
Do you have to wait? What do you do in those situations?
Well, you kind of look at the monitor.
Okay.
Which is fine because, you guys, in TV, it's really interesting. So people at home get to watch these games on a giant television set, 60, 80 inches or whatever, or they can see it on their screen and that's all they look at. And our monitors are usually 13 inches and we're kind of looking at the same thing. And so for a long time, we weren't even in HD. We were broadcasting in HD, but the feeds coming to us were not in HD, which create a really big challenge on replays and bang bang plays, and fans at home are seeing it a lot clearer than we are. It's like I'm supposed to be the one, the professional in this situation. But you go to the monitor, you kind of trust the replays. The monitor's always a tick behind. Okay. So for a play-by-play announcer, I always keep my eyes on the field. Yeah. And then when the play is either concluded or if it's, maybe deep at the wall, I can go to the monitor and then get a better read. And you got to trust your camera operators at that point. But there's always these nuances that change from ballpark to ballpark. So I've never had anybody ask me that actually, but Miller Park is my favorite.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
So good.
Relatively.
It's right in the middle. It's at a perfect level to see everything from a play-by-play side. Hopefully, as they build more ballparks, they'll stop this trend of sending the announcers as far up, because obviously these are prime seats. They can sell them. I wouldn't blame them for doing that, but it really makes it tough on everybody.
Yeah, because you talked about nuances in baseball specifically, but you do several different sports, and the gameplay in those sports is very different. You do golf, you do basketball, baseball, and obviously baseball being, a more laid back. You have a lot more time to talk, so. If you're preparing for these games, how do you prepare differently for, let's say, a baseball game rather than a basketball or even a golf game?
It's all different. There's different vocabulary. There's different phrasing that you use. There's different rhythms of it. Baseball, for me, is the most comfortable because I've done it for so long. So there are a lot of different nuances with baseball that if you weren't a baseball guy or you didn't understand the sport, you'd really struggle with it. And most of the greatest announcers of all time haven't done baseball. And, they will tell you that, baseball is the most difficult. And so you get guys that have done it and have done baseball well. Typically, it's the baseball guys that transfer to the other sports a little bit easier because they are easier to call. The prep's a lot different, but the rhythm of a football game, especially in the NFL, because everything is very organized. There's short half times. The timeouts are very organized in the NFL. The rosters are smaller. versus a basketball game, an NBA game, or an NCAA tournament game, or what have you.
Yeah.
There's a different rhythm to that, and so baseball, the story is usually between the pitches, and there's always these really interesting things that come up between action moments, managers grinding it out, the signs that are coming in, the movement of the infielders, all these little things that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't see it as baseball moves slow. I see it once there's a pitch made and there's no action. Now there's going to be probably about 30 seconds before the next pitch, and there's so many opportunities to take the viewer places, visiting dugout, home dugout, in the stands, what's going on in the bullpen, players that are on the field, and like we saw Lorenzo Cain struggling with a leg injury the other day. You know, he's not going to show you between or right when a pitch comes. He's going to show you after. So those are the little things that makes baseball great. I would love for baseball as a sport, as a televised sport, to stop trying to run from those things.
Sure.
And start to be more educated about it with announcers, writers.
Yeah.
And really tell those stories, because that's the fascinating part of baseball.
Yeah.
You know, the other sports, like when you think of soccer, if you don't know soccer, you go, oh, how it's 1-0, could win a game. When do they ever score? But soccer is all about the formations and the runs and you know, shots on goal, if you will. But the build up to a potential goal.
Right.
Most of the time it doesn't happen, but it's that build-up. And I didn't understand that in soccer until I saw it live.
Yeah.
And I saw a Premier League game in Liverpool, and I went, oh, I get it now. Like, you get why this is so entertaining and interesting, the speed, the skill of the players. Same with cricket, right? Cricket would be another slow-moving sport from the outside. Sometimes those matches go days. Their professional version that they compete at is shorter, but they don't run from what they are. And I would like to see baseball not run from what it is either, because there's great nuance between the action moments.
Right, and I think you get a lot of that, as you said, from going to games. I think there's a lot of people, when they go to their first baseball game or whatever, if they have those preconceived notions that, wow, this is like not happening fast enough, you get in the environment. And I think part of it is just being around fans too. Like, you know, being in a Premier League game, like the fans over there are die hard, literally, you know,
singing in unison.
Right.
It's really cool.
It's amazing to watch, like, and just being in that environment.
There's a public square to it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when you're at a baseball game, and now there's 81 baseball games in your hometown, if you have, if you're lucky enough to have a major league team, you have 81 opportunities to go, and there may be between here at Miller Park 25,000 up to 44,000, depending on where you're at as a team and in the season. But we wouldn't be having this conversation in an NBA arena, right?
No,
there'd be music thumping, and even in warm-ups. And one thing baseball does, it tries to be a lot like the NBA and the NFL, and it tries to pump the energy. But I think what the beauty of baseball is to be able to sit with your buddy, like you and I are just having a chat in the middle of a game, and then there's a pitch, and then we watch, and then now we're having a chat. A lot of people are on their phones now. Which is scary with foul balls and whatnot. But I think that's the beauty of the game. It's kind of like this everyday, meandering sport that is just with you for 8 months, if you count spring training, and you know, a 7-month season. Yeah,
you know, I really love watching baseball, and for me, I have anxiety issues. And for some reason, like,
it works.
Yeah, when I can turn on baseball and I feel like it makes me calmer. Yeah. Like, and I'm just interested in the game, but it's not over, like, you know,
the hum of the crowd. It's not an attack on the senses. It shouldn't be. Yeah. Some places they try to make it like the other sports. Like, you go to an NBA game and you're there, and I do a lot of NBA. And I'm fine with that in an NBA game, but it's a 2-hour game, usually 2:15. And it's nonstop every time out, pumping the music every time, you know, and the game is just, you know, fast and up tempo. And so if that's not your style, I can enjoy all the sports and work in all the sports and navigate around that as a play-by-play announcer professionally. But I could totally understand where if your senses are being attacked from an anxiety perspective, then baseball would be a great sport for you, especially on television, just that hum of the crowd. To be able to watch something live, that if there's anything happening in the world that's really serious,
right,
we're going to break into programming to alert you. So you're going to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you can kind of disconnect.
Yeah.
You can hear in the announcer's voice when they get loud and energetic, they know, oh, it's time for me to pay attention now. Like, I'm fascinated in the art of all of that from a broadcaster's perspective, but from the viewer's perspective, like why baseball works so well regionally, locally.
Yeah.
Not so much nationally. The numbers have been kind of trending down nationally, but it's as strong as it's ever been on a local, regional level.
Right. Yeah. And for you, like, you actually played. You played baseball in college.
Yeah. Not good enough to be a professional.
So in college, was your idea to go pro? Was your?
I wanted to.
Okay.
I probably realized maybe 2 years too late I wasn't good enough. But I wanted. My brother did. My brother was signed and he played professionally. He's been in the professional game since 1988, and he's still assistant to the general manager. He's kind of their pitching guy. He's like he's John Daniels' pitching guy that he goes to evaluate pitchers and amateur and pro. And he's been in the game forever. He pitched in the major leagues, and I always wanted to do that. Played in college. At a small college, very, very good team. We were the number one team in the nation, NAIA level.
Did you go? You went to St. Mary's, right?
St. Mary's, that's right. Yep. Thank you. Did your homework.
Yeah.
So, I just realized probably my junior year that it wasn't going to happen. And my brother's career coincided with me getting into broadcasting because I was starting my freshman year. I was pretty good. Didn't know if I was going to be able to make it or not. I was already thinking about a plan B, but really my junior year in college, I got really serious about let's be proactive and pursue a career in either scouting or broadcasting.
Okay.
And that paralleled my brother's playing career. He was in the minor leagues through this time.
Okay.
So he's coming up through the Red system, and I was able to go visit him, stay with him weeks at a time in the summer.
Okay.
And I would go listen to the broadcasters, and I would sit in with those guys and just kind of observe what they do, how they do it. Then my brother got called to the big leagues, and so I got to spend time with guys like Marty Brennaman, and who's in the Hall of Fame, Milo Hamilton, the late Milo Hamilton, Hall of Fame announcer with the Astros. I got a chance to actually be in a big league setting with my brother as a player on the Cincinnati Reds, and me being able to kind of weasel my way into these booths and just to see what it was like. And that's when I really caught the bug that I really wanted to do this for a living.
What do you think it was?
I was lucky in '94 to get the minor league Texas League job in San Antonio.
What do you think that bug was? Like, what was it specifically?
I love being around the game. I knew I wasn't going to be good enough to play, so I thought, I love baseball. I love sports. I love walking into, like, this right now, what we're doing is my favorite time to be here.
Yeah.
An empty stadium, calm before the storm. It's just like for me, it's just like I'd rather be here right now than being at the ocean.
Okay.
And some people think that's crazy, but this is where I want to be, and I love being at arenas and stadiums. And so I started this plan, like, how can I do this and get paid for it? Because I don't want to just be a fan.
Sure.
I have a passion at a level that I need more than just being a fan.
Yeah.
So I had two choices out of college when I graduated. I didn't get drafted. I wasn't going to play professionally. I had two choices. I could go to scouting school with the Cincinnati Reds, or I could take this job with the AA team in San Antonio as a broadcaster. I had no real formal training. I had done a lot of journalism work, and I had worked for the San Antonio Spurs as a cameraman and an audio technician, and I had done all these things kind of behind the scenes in college, but I also knew enough how to make things sound really good, look really good, just from a technical perspective.
Yeah.
So I knew I could improve myself and my broadcasting because the game was going to sound good. It was going to sound clean because I had that expertise. And so I kind of went at it a little backwards. I engineered everything. I put the mixer together, put the mics together, ran the cables down, put the mics on the field, did all of that so it would sound like a big league game, and then worked that was as much of an art to me as actually calling a game. And I was fascinated by that, to make the whole thing sound cool.
Yeah.
Not just show up, flip on a mic, start calling play-by-play, which most do in my industry. All of them. I mean, guys who went through the minor leagues know how to engineer because it was a one-man band. But to me, the art of it was two pieces. It was doing that and setting up the equipment and getting the EQs just right and making it clean and crisp and bright, and hear the crack of the bats and the interviews and the kind of microphones, like these Shure mics are great. And the headsets I used, and then there was the actual play-by-play. So it was like 2 spinning wheels every day to make it sound as good as I could, and then to be the sound that sounded good. And that's why I chose it, because I was really fascinated by the whole breadth of what broadcasting was. Having listened to so many games, and to be on the other end of that radio and to hear a vendor or an usher or the play-by-play guy or the crack of the bat, like that whole attack of the senses, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it. Like, I wanted to be able to present that when most people wouldn't even understand, other than the play-by-play part, why all that matters. And the greatest compliment you could have given me back in those days was my boss would say, man, the game just sounds better this year, or the game just sounds better when you're working it.
Yeah.
And maybe they think it's my play-by-play, but it could be the whole
package
picture.
Yeah.
So I love that. I still do. Like, I still love arranging sounds, and I work with our audio crew to try to, the way I do play-by-play, for example, let's say we take a shot of the bullpen, right? And we have a microphone out there, right, dug into the padding, which points directly into the bullpen catcher. So you're going to see Josh Hader, and you're going to hear, and as I'm saying, well, there's Josh Hader warming up in the bullpen, I'm watching the monitor to see right when he releases, and I will stop, hear that pop, and then keep going. So I'm constantly like, I want to hear the whole mix in my ears. This is way technical, I'm sure. But for me, it's the art of the whole thing.
Right.
It's not just, if you're a salesman, it's not just going in and getting the sale. It's the art of organizing your notes or organizing your speech or your pitch. If you're an accountant, it's organizing your spreadsheet, your numbers. Like, there's art to that. There's art to everything. And we should be more artistic as a society. Because everything has art, and if you're gonna just show up and do the bare minimum for a paycheck, it's kind of what's the point? Is the question, right?
Yeah.
So
especially if you're doing it every day.
You're here. You set up. You have really great equipment. You've obviously prepared. Like, there's an art to that. Before the thing that you're actually doing, the actual widget that's going to be produced and released. There's an art to it. So that's why I got into it, for a long way to answer that question, but that's why true. I wanted to do this. And there's an art to scouting, certainly an art to playing. I just wasn't good enough to play, and I didn't really want to go down the scouting road, so this was kind of the thing that I grabbed onto.
And the thing is, it's all intentional. You're talking about, when you speak, when you don't speak even, it's all planned out where, and I would assume that is why you have done so well in your career, because you care so much.
I do care.
It matters. It matters to you. And there are, I'm sure plenty of other people that just show up and just talk about what's happening. Talk about the game.
I can't speak for them, but one of my favorite lines I say to everybody that I work with is, you can't teach people to care. And you just can't. You either do or you don't. And can you make somebody care about your setup? And that's part of it, is the technical, the mechanics, the play-by-play, and then the other part also is, what kind of citizen are you? What kind of person are you around your team when you're stressed? Can you be calm? Can you encourage others? Are you recognizing that there's a guy who's allowing us, who ran a cable, put a microphone in, who's on the mixer board, that allows you to hear that Josh Hader pitch in a bullpen? Like, recognize that, or recognize when a camera guy has a great shot of a replay, that we forget there are human beings behind these cameras, and we're seeing this replay that is going to maybe overturn a call. Like, I think that's the next thing, that my biggest challenge with young announcers is to try to impress upon them. You want to be great sitting in front of this thing, but you also want to be great with people. And you want to make them feel like they're appreciated, because they're artists too, and we're all trying to make this thing work. If you're going to blow in and blow out, and you're going to be agitated, and people are on eggshells around you, which there are a lot of announcers that it's that way. you've really served no purpose other than to serve your own purpose.
Right.
So I will give up a little bit of preparation to spend a little time with our camera crew.
Yeah.
Because I want them to know I appreciate them and I value their expertise.
Right. Yeah, and I've heard in games you like have like complimented the camera crew or the audio people.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that happen. So,
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes on the air and sometimes in the talkback, man, great shot. That was awesome. Way to go. You make us look good. Like I think it's important. I'm an encouraging person anyway. I want people to know that they have value and what they're doing here is really cool and it's really interesting, and we're kind of out there on the plank. We're providing a service that people are experiencing in the hundreds of thousands, or on a network game that I do, maybe the millions, maybe 20 million.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of people that are digesting what we're doing, and there's a lot of pressure in that too.
Right.
Pressure to succeed. There's a lot of pressure when when your fear of failure starts to set in. So I want all the people I work with to feel that way. So
yeah,
I love that. I would be doing that anyway, whatever business I was in, but it's really fun to do it in this business.
Yeah.
Because I can connect better because of my passion for broadcasting and sports.
Because of the medium you're in, yeah.
Right.
So talking about relationships and like that, you and Rock have a really good relationship on air. Was that always the case? Did you guys was there chemistry?
Yeah, I think so. We did. I had met Rock when Matt Vasgersian was the play-by-play announcer for the Brewers, 97, 98 maybe. Maybe 98. I was in San Antonio, and Matt invited me to Houston to go spend some time at the Astrodome with the Brewers. Brewers were playing the Astros. It was 98 because it was the first year the Brewers were in the National League. And I got to know Rock and met him, and so never thought anything of it. And then all those years later, which now would have been 2006, 7, we start doing nearly 9 years later, we do this audition, jobs open for Brewers Television. And you could just tell, like, he was a catcher in the major leagues and a backup catcher for a number of those years.
Yeah.
Those are usually the guys that are the best teammates, because they kind of have to be.
Yeah.
And so you kind of knew, and we hit it off really well. And then I got the job, and he really reached out in a significant way to make me comfortable. He brought me in on a lot of ancillary sponsorship things that he was doing that he didn't have to do. And not only was I getting paid for that, which was cool, but I was also spending time with him. And we were going to bars, and after games, we were going to festivals before games and doing autograph sessions or trivia nights or a lot of different things. And so it was kind of fun to be. We don't do that anymore, but we had a great relationship, and I think we work hard at the relationship. We respect each other. We're very different people, but I trust and value his expertise on everything that he brings to the table as a broadcaster. He has no problem playing the foil, talking about his own career.
Yeah.
I kind of give him these digs every now and then.
Yeah.
And it's like we have fun with it.
Right.
But we also, I think, know when to be serious and when to bear down and when it's time to lock in on the field. And, we trust our producer to let us know if we're trending the wrong way. But I think there's in any relationship, you have to, it doesn't just happen. You have to make the time to make the phone calls or the text messages or like the things that you wouldn't ever think of when his son gets deployed. A text message that I'm thinking about you, because I am.
Yeah.
Not just think it, but let him know you're thinking it. And so I think you have to work hard at that. And I think he does, and I know I do. And we do that with everybody on our crew. We're the ones that are the front facing, and people get to experience our dynamic. But that happens with all of us.
Yeah.
Our producer, director, all of our camera ops, video, audio, all the technicians as well. So we're constantly badgering each other, loving on each other, whatever we have to do to make sure we are all connected.
Yeah, and I mean, that's true of a lot of people. I think a lot of people think and then they don't actually pull the trigger and make the call or, reach out like they should.
I have no problem being vulnerable that way and getting yelled at for being too soft.
Yeah.
You're such a wuss.
It's better to be that way.
Yeah. I send him a little kissy emoji all the time. He's like, God, you're killing me.
At least he knows, you know? But no, I was going to ask, like, so when you don't have that time, because there are national broadcasts where I'm sure you're meeting someone for the first time, or how do you make, I mean, it's a completely different relationship, obviously, in that case, but like, how do you make that seem the same as you would like with someone that you knew years?
Yeah, you know? That's a great question. It's actually very timely because that just happened to me at the PGA Championship. So I've known Trevor Immelman, the 2008 Masters champion. He's just now engaging in television.
Okay.
And we had worked together, not exactly together, but kind of side by side the last 2 PGA championships. So starting with Quail Hollow in Charlotte, and then in Belle Reve last year in St. Louis. But this year was different. This year was he and I together. Ian Baker Finch, his mother-in-law passed away. He had to fly back to Australia. Ernie Johnson is now doing the NBA. So that puts Trevor and I together. For the first time, we're doing 7.5 hours on a Thursday, 7 hours on the air together on a Friday.
Wow.
PGA Championship.
Yeah.
And so, again, back to the part where it takes work. You know, I don't think Trevor is ever going to just pick up the phone and say, hey, we're working together, mate. You know, he's a former Masters champion.
Yeah.
He's a terrific player. He's been a world class. He was as high as number 11 in the world rankings at one point.
Wow.
So I contacted him and I said, look, you know, it's 2 weeks out. We're working together. What's on your mind? How do you like this guy? And now we start having kind of these text message rap sessions.
Yeah.
And I sent him pictures of the NBA playoffs. He's big in the NBA.
Okay.
I was doing the NBA playoffs. I would send him pictures of Kevin McHale or whatever.
Sure.
Because I want him to know, like, yes, I'm doing this, but I'm fully engaged in what we're about to be doing.
Yeah.
For a long time. 7 hours on the air is a long time on national television.
Yeah.
And so leading up to the weeks, you know, I'm proactive saying, man, and it's all from my heart, but I want him to know, like, I want to spend as much time with you as I can.
Yeah.
To learn from you. So we set up a plan, and the Tuesday of the PGA Championship, we had made a plan to walk all 18 holes together. We were going to walk the course, and it had rained a bunch, and we're out there in wet shoes, wet socks, and we're walking every hole, and he's thinking out loud, knowing that I need to hear what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And I've expressed that to him. Hey, man, we're going to have to forge a fast relationship here.
Yeah.
And that starts with trust. You can trust me. I'm not going to steal your information. I'm not going to use it as my own.
Yeah.
I'm going to tee you up.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you look great. And if you say something, I'm going to try to cash you in.
Yeah.
So that comes with, like, that realization that he needs to know that I'm here for him.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and we walked all 18 holes, and it took 4 hours, and we're talking to players, and players are playing practice rounds. Then we went to dinner that night. We literally spent 16 hours together.
Wow.
Tuesday and Wednesday. And we had a blast, and we had dinners, and we were at the golf course, and we're in meetings, and we're constantly, like, making eye contact. Look, that's something you can do. That's something I can handle.